Hello, it's September 28th, 2017, and this is CSAE Conquering Content episode. We're up to 15 now. I am Steve Trustrum, Content Manager here at CSAE, and in this episode we're going to be talking about content and events. So what does that mean? It means several things. It means the content you release prior to events to build up to it, how you can release content during events, and what you do with content you can capture at events after that event has ended. So let's go in order. There's a progression here, so let's just stick with that. So when you have an event, you want to make it known. Typically, if you're not you don't have a lot of content expertise, that's limited to, maybe some social media posts and things like that. But well, that is great, and it's part of the process. You also want to do a more thorough content lead. So, you have a landing page for that particular event. Instead of having all of your events on one page, you want each event to have its own page so that you can underscore the value of that event in its own unique identity and context. And that means adding search engine optimization principles. That means adding keywords that are related to that event, and we'll get it to show up in the search engine results when people are going, hey, I really wish there was something around related to this topic that I could go to or otherwise participate in to learn. So when they do that kind of search, you want your event to show up if it's related. So you put you put keyword phrases in there that'll show up in that. So that works best when the events are on their own page. Otherwise, the keyword phrases you choose for other events get muddled in and dilute the value of the keyword phrases you choose for that particular event. So a landing page specific to your event, present it with the necessities, the date, the time, who's presenting, what it's about, where it's going to be, that sort of thing. And you want to keep your description tight, very economical. Don't make it too verbose, don't let it ramble, don't give too much away. You really want it to excite people's imagination and get them interested in what the event is about. But you don't want to use that description to start giving away the information that's going to be in the event itself. Because if you start giving away too much, why do they have to go to your event? Yeah, and that's whether it's a live event, whether it's a webinar, whatever. So after that, you of course want to include the registration process, all that information, how they get tickets, how they pay, all that has to be included. Now, all that information is packaged on your landing page. So when you socialize it, don't repeat that information. All your socialization should be pointing back to that landing page. Why include the dates, the times, and all that stuff? Well, the date is a little different, because obviously you say this event is on the 26th because you want people to be able to see if it's worth their while, if they're going to be able to fit in their schedule right off the bat. But the rest of the information, consider if you need it in your socialization post, because you're going to have it on the landing page. You want them to go to the landing page where your registration links are to get that information. You want them to follow that extra step to go get that information. If you're including all of the details in your Facebook post, in your blog post, in your Twitter post, whatever, they lose half their incentive to go to your landing page, which is where your full-on description is. So use your socialization as a teaser. Get them interested, give them a little taste, and then pull them onto the landing page. That's why it's called a landing page. They're supposed to come from wherever you're using as your bait and land there. So that's incredibly important when you're doing events. And that goes for any product basically, but for this particular case, we're talking about events. Choose your content to be engaging. I've talked about this before with images. When you have an event, don't show people sitting around in a crowd watching a guy, in front of a whiteboard or whatever. Don't show that. It's boring. That's not going to get people interested in your session. They already know, if it's an educational session, they already know that the speaker is going to be sitting there telling them about their topic, yada, yada, yada. They know that's what's going to happen. If it's a webinar, they know they're going to be sitting in front of a computer screen watching something happen. You don't need that to be part of your message. Get your imagery, get that message around the value and the interesting and engaging aspects of what's going to be taught. If it's about networking, show people laughing, show people having a good time, and show them, like more than one. You get the networking aspect, but you make it engaging. Or do you know what? And I've done this for networking events. Show animals, a herd of animals all together, and put like a humorous, witty spin on it. Do something. We did a boat cruise event, and I had a guy in a barrel in a river rowing instead of a bunch of people on a yacht or a barge or something. Okay, so make it engaging, make something that stands out. Don't choose imagery that literally represents exactly what your event is about. Take it a little off kilter to get engaging. That's as important as choosing the message for your socialization, because that image is what really grabs them. And then, of course, they'll come in and get the details on the landing page. And so things that you can do to kind of lead up to that besides socialization is write blog posts. Write blog posts that are kind of what the event is about, but not exactly the same. So the blog isn't going to be repeating what's in the session, because if they read about it in the blog, why do they have to go to your event, right? You've already given the information. So you come at it from a sideways angle, and then the call to action at the end is, by the way, if you like this blog, maybe this event is also for you. So you release some blogs and stuff like that that provide multiple call to action to your website. You can also put rotating banners on your website or the like for your events. So if they're on a section that's about policy within your industry or something like that, or they're looking at your association's About Us page, at the bottom they've got banners that also lead them to the landing page on the same website. So there's a lot of things that you can do for content prior to events to get your event in their face, and that is the purpose. Make them aware of it. So think about how you can do that, but also keep in mind that it's going to change. I've had some people say, was it really good to put it into magazines, and there's email newsletters. So if you've got a quarterly magazine, you can do it if it's like a really big event, but if it's a smaller event, it's probably not going to be worth it, because it's like a one shot, and then the time is going to pass, and you can't really revisit print articles for events. So you got to make sure that you're going to get the most for your event, the most bang for your buck when you're doing something in print for an event. It's got to be really worth your while, because it just passes, because content operates differently in print than it does online. You can also take other events and tie them together. You can have two events with two entirely different topics, or possibly somewhat related topics, and different session speakers, different people are presenting the event, and you can still tie them together if you can find a common theme. So say one is about cybersecurity and another is again about networking. There's ways you can find out how those two topics intersect. So say the networking one is first and the cybersecurity one is later. After the networking one, you can go to that crowd who attended and say, were you interested in this? Well, consider how networking, as in the context we were talking about in this session, dovetails into cybersecurity. So if you found this interesting, maybe you want to attend this too, and see how those connections line up. It's not something that has necessarily been programmed into either event. So far as those events are concerned, they're entirely isolated and self-contained. But the content is what creates the bridge. Okay, and that requires a lot of imagination and forethought. So if you think about that when you're creating events, that's something you can kind of plan as you roll it out, as opposed to after the fact. You don't go, well, this event has gone by, what can we do now? Think about it while you're designing your events. Now, the next stage is what to do for content while you're at an event. Socialize your events in real time. Here I am, I'm at an event. Look at me, here I'm with my smartphone taking a picture. This is the staff. You can do it if you're a volunteer there helping out with the event. You can do it if you're staff. Do the socialization. Look at all these people showing up at the registration booth, stuff like that. Take pictures while the session is going on, I'm having fun learning about cybersecurity. Do that. But in order to get the most out of it, you should educate your attendees as they arrive at the event. Say things like, we encourage you to use social media, like get it in their head. We encourage you to use social media. And by the way, use this hashtag. We've written on the board, here's a sheet of paper with the hashtags we suggest. Please, by all means, use these if you're going to be tweeting or if you're going to be posting on Facebook. Do that kind of thing. It's really good to encourage people to use socialization and turn your attendees into content producers, but you need to control that a little bit. And hashtags is great for that. Otherwise, you still get some value if people are just doing their own thing, but the hashtags really, really gets you that level of control if you are helping to determine which ones they're going to use. So think about that. Obviously, there's some issues if people are doing, like, say, a Facebook Live from within from within a session, especially if the speaker said, no, I don't want to be recorded or anything like that. You know, there's a lot of highly valuable proprietary information I'm going to be handing out. So you also have to come at it from another angle, is what you do not allow people to do during sessions when it comes to helping them to create content. So keep that in mind too. You have to come in from both sides. Now, you can also do things like live streaming and video capturing and stuff like that, or just taking pictures. And you don't, this isn't for the purpose of releasing right away, like obviously the live streaming is, but when you do video capture or you take photos of an event, that's for afterwards. You know, it's the whole, it's probably the easiest way to use content to promote an event, besides the initial blogging and the like. But so it's so underutilized is, hey, look at what these people just did at this session that occurred yesterday. Look what they did at this conference. Look what they did at this convention. Look what happened at this webinar. Do you want to miss out on this next time? Because we've got this great event coming up. And if these people were enjoying it this much and learning this much, what are you going to miss out if you don't go to this next event? You see, you take that captured content and plug it into the next thing. And a lot of people just don't do that. It's kind of like the event is over and it falls off a cliff and there's no follow-up and there's no rollout into other things. And it's actually difficult to do that in some cases because, you know, like the events, as much as I said you need some imagination to tie the events together, sometimes it's just really hard to do so and it just comes across as really contrived to try and relate the topics together. So in that case, you know, some people say, well, I can't use this content I captured because it's no matter how hard I try, I can't get it relate to this next event. So you know what? Don't get it to relate via the topics. Use that captured content to go towards your next event by focusing on the value they got through you as the facilitator. So for example, CSAE, if we have these two topics and we just can't glue them together, what we would do is say, did you enjoy this CSAE event? Didn't we provide you with a great speaker? Well, here's this other CSAE event, and if we could get you this great speaker here, just imagine how great this speaker is. You know, we only choose the best. You know, that's not the exact message you want to go for, but that's what you want people to perceive. So if you can't glue the messages together, glue the messenger, okay? Don't be afraid to toot your own horn to some degree and let people know that, you know, if it's not the topics that are related, you're the common denominator that's delivering value. Okay, so that's a good way to keep your content from just dropping off the cliff and not using it because you just can't get your head around a better way to, a combined idea, a relationship. So that's good for promoting future events. Also keep in mind that when you capture content, a lot of people get bogged down in how to monetize it. You know, we've got this video of an event, but we don't want to release it for free because people paid to see it live, so why are we going to give it away for free? That's going to devalue it. Not always, and not even mostly true. Because the benefits of attending live are you get to interact, you get to answer questions, you get to network with the other people, you get to talk about it after the fact. The experience of being there is a lot different than watching on a video. So if you're watching on a video, and everyone knows this feeling, you're likely doing this. I'm watching this for an hour. This is a video. It can be a great topic, but you're still not going to be engaged and as enthralled because there is that divide between, you know, real time and watching it after the fact on a screen in 2 dimensions. So perception plays a big role in this. So if you find that you're able to do so, don't worry about monetizing the video afterwards. Sure, you can, you know, make it available for sale, but you don't have to do it every time, and you don't have to do it completely. If you want to monetize the video, chop out, you know, like great quotes and stuff like that, and use that for promotion. You know, you've got an hour of video, use 30 seconds here and 30 seconds there as teasers, okay? So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing situation. And also remember that, as contrary as it seems, you can monetize free. Say you have 3 sessions that you capture over a year, 3 events. Get 2 that people pay for and 1 for free. Think of it as the sampler at the supermarket. They give you free food at the supermarket in sampler sizes because they want you to go buy the box that's sitting in the freezer section, right? Same with your events. Give them 1 free content capture to let them know what they're missing. And you might not necessarily necessarily sell the other videos, but you might sell them on actually going to the event itself. So don't be afraid to experiment with free content that is normally more, normally makes more sense for you to charge money for it. Just give it a try. If it doesn't work out for you, it doesn't work out for you. But experiment. You have to experiment with the content in all terms, especially when it comes to events. So that's the basics, to my mind, of how you combine content with your events. And it's important to make sure that this process is ongoing. It's very difficult for a lot of associations and not-for-profits because they don't have full-time content people. And let me tell you, it's difficult even if you do. As the content manager at CSAE, it's often very difficult to keep up with all of the content coming out. So set goals for yourself as part of this process. Don't see it as an all or nothing situation. It's like, if I can't make use of all the content we're capturing, if some of it has to fall by the side because I just can't do something with it all, don't take that to mean you can't do anything. Do what you can. Do what your schedule allows you to do what your imagination allows you to do, and do what your agreement with the event presenters and session speakers and the like allow you, because sometimes they will say, no content capture whatsoever. So you have to work around that and be a little more creative. There's certainly a lot more that we can go into regarding events and content, but I just want to give you the basics here. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments of wherever you find this video, or you can email the questions at steven@csae.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If there's enough questions, I can probably roll this out into another video, concrete content video, to help out and expand on the details more. But until that time, this has been Conquering Content from CSAE. I am Steve Trustrum, Manager of Content here at CSAE, and this has been Content and Events. See you next time.